What do you already know about relationships?
Sometimes it could be a friendship relationship, sibling relationship, marriage relationship.
What about other things? Can other things be related to things that aren't people?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like on a farm, the farm animals. The animals need the farmer to feed them, or the farmer to grow the grass in the sheep's pen, or feed them from the grass so they can make wool and not starve.
They depend on each other. I'm going to make a big statement, a generalization, and then I want you to tell me whether you agree with it or not. Alrighty? So my big generalization is relationships change over time. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So usually,
That's a good example of relationship changing. The purpose of our lesson today is to look at how and why human and animal relationships have changed over time. So let me pique your interest. Do you have any pets at home?
yeah.
What kind of pets?
A cat. Her name's Meow.
So what's your relationship like with your cat?
I think it's more of
So we're gonna start and we're gonna look at some ways that humans and animals have changed, and then we're gonna see if we can create something a little special today. Sounds good? All right, so I have a stimulus for you to stimulate our thinking. Our first stimulus, we have two today, is actually just a picture. There's no words, just a picture for us to examine.
So-
I want you to tell me what you know about relationships on the farm. Do you see any kind of relationships that would take place if it was you as the farmer and these animals?
the farmer needs to keep the animals secure and defend them so they can so every single and to feed them so every single animal has a purpose.
Yeah, he has a responsibility to those animals. What is the purpose of those animals? Mhm.
But the chicken has, I think, in my opinion, two purposes.
What is the chicken's purpose?
To lay eggs, which is really important.
And you know what? Let's think about relationships. Who is that chicken laying eggs for?
The chicken is laying eggs for the farmer.
Any other relationships you can note in our picture here?
Sheep.
What about the sheep? What's the sheep's
They
relationship?
provide wool for clothing that can.
How do any of those other animals have a relationship with the farmer?
The horses served a very important role,
Oh,
but
what?
because the horses could get people around really quickly.
Sure. What about that rooster? Does the rooster do anything special on the farm?
It may wake him up in the morning. Oh, and also the rooster could have a marriage relationship with a chicken.
Oh, sure.
And
Sure.
and that chicken will get
Mm-hmm.
eggs out of its body.
Our second stimulus is actually going to be an article. I love reading an interesting article sometimes.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a few notes, and we're going to keep them all organized in a graphic organizer. Can you take your notebook paper, and I want you to fold it vertically. Vertically means up and down, so one halfway up and down. Yep, just like so. The left-hand side is going to be the then side, then. As
And
in
then after.
Yeah, now. Then and now. Can you put your titles at the top of your T-chart? We're going to go ahead and we're going to start reading this article. As we read this article, we're going to be looking for things then and now, especially between the relationships between humans and animals. I'm going to help you do the first paragraph, and we'll look for a couple of things. The first couple of paragraphs, we'll look for some things to put on the chart together, and then I'm going to have you read the rest on your own. Good enough?
The changing status of animals and human-animal bonds.
Good. I'll model how to come up with the first one, and then you can come up with the second one. That's how I would take that note. I want you to come up with a second note for your chart. Refer back to the text and find me another detail about back then.
The first one was cow produces milk and meat.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was beef cattle. The meat provides the farmer with food and also can be sent to the store to provide citizens to have meat and give the farmer money. Even though we understand our behalf because we understand the primary role of it. Like a teacher, they rely on students to keep their job
Sure.
because without students,
But the students also rely.
on the teacher to teach them.
I think that's true. That's just another kind of relationship, right?
Today, less than 1% of families.
Good. Did you see any kind of notes there that we could add to the then side or the now side? Okay, now that you're quite good at this, I'm going to turn off the video and I'm going to let you keep doing your reading and keep taking your good notes because you're really analyzing this article, looking for all those ways that relationships between humans and animals were back when and the way they are today. Okay, tell me about what you jotted on your graphic organizer for the last paragraph.
Cats would hunt down the rats. That's it. And then they wouldn't steal your food.
Okay, and then what'd you put on the now side? Let's keep reading on to the next paragraph, okay?
Bird lovers and archaeologists are now.
Okay, what are you gonna add for then and now?
Cats were kept outdoors and only a few were allowed in the house.
So which side am I put that on?
Then.
Where do the cats stay now?
Usually the cats stay inside.
Is there anything else from that paragraph that I need to add?
Cats kill birds even though the cats are being fed at home. 100 years. We use this bait of breaking horses.
Notes about horses. What do we want to put under then?
100 years ago, we used to speak of breaking horses. Today, we say gentling.